Hey, I got a light, boy. Hey, I got a light. Hey, I got a light, boy.
So today I'm going to start another little project for my model railway, but this time it's going to be a passenger plane for the skies, high up in the skies, wherever that might be. I could have got a British Airways one, but this one was cheaper. It's a German plane, and what's the matter with that? That's what I say. Germans are damn clever. So here we go. So it's really because I got the bug. I mean, if you look back at some of the videos that I have on this channel, you'll soon see that there was plenty of plastic models that I've made and created through the years. Absolutely had a passion for doing this, so I just fancy doing it again. I've also got the old great Psycho mansion sitting up there that used to light up. I'm going to have to get that light up again, I think, at some point in time. But yeah, I'm now going to unbox this, and what we're going to do is, let me just zoom out a little bit. Did I open this once before? I think I did. Yes, there we are. So to pull the end out, let's tip all the contents out. Ta-da! Whoa! So here we go. I'm excited, to say the least. I love making plastic model kits. As a matter of fact, I like making any kind of model, really, come to think about it. But there we are. One of these days I'm going to invest in, I think it's Mobius, I think they call themselves, and they do the Lost in Space Jupiter 2. I've always wanted to do that, and I'm going to do it. But it does cost a lot of money, about 120 quid, which is a lot of money, but there we are. But anyway, that's for another time. I'm going to get started by undoing all the packets and washing them in soapy water, which is what you always have to do with these plastic kits. They come out of a mould and they keep some kind of, you know, oil or resin on that for coming out of the mould easier, I do believe, and that's the reason why most people thoroughly wash them in soap and water and then them naturally dry. So that's what I'm going to do. So okay, let's move on and do it. Okay, so I've washed them and they're there all drying nicely. So I've got to go away for 2 or 3 days meeting some friends, so I'm going to leave these here to dry completely out in my hot shed. Only if it wasn't absolutely chucking it down with rain outside. I didn't bother doing the glass because I have a reason not for doing that. But I just don't do it because I think it actually leaves silly watermarks all over the glass, and I don't want all of that. So yeah, this is all good. This is just to get rid of the residue, or whatever you want to call it, because I'm a Norfolk boy and I can't talk properly, you know what I mean? But yeah, they can all be done. And then what I will use is some crafting and hobby primer, grey primer, and I'll prime some of the parts before I actually colour them the colour that I want. I think most of it is gloss white, and I have some gloss white too ready to be used. So that's the idea. As I build these kits, I do it the way where, you know, I just go through instructions, whatever's got to be put together. I take off their actual, I forget what they call them now, but anyway, spurs, I think they call us, something like that. They have a name for it, but I don't really care. It's just a bit of plastic holding this in to keep it all nice and straight. So I just need to use my little clippers and clip all of these, clean them all up, and then make sure that the two parts stick together before you glue them. That kind of thing. That's what I've always done. And yeah, some of the models that I've made, I will just quickly show you. Okay, so here I am in my other passion, my music studio, and in my music studio I have a few of my models that I've created many years ago. There's a nice Mini, a Ferrari, a Mustang, a Chevy Bel Air, a Jaguar, and a VW camper van. Magic. Love making these models, used to make them all the time. I've made quite a few others that were a bit of a disaster, so these were when I got a little bit better doing it. And there's the VW there. Done some mods inside that, and then just over on the other side of the room I have my Starsky and Hutch car with Starsky and Hutch. Also had lights in but don't work anymore. I have to fix that. And then my favourite, my cruise ship that I built because I like cruising, and there it is, all lit up. Looks nice in the evening. So yeah, great stuff. Love making models. Oh, and of course I did forget to mention my good old Route Master bus, London bus, which I made, and this is an old photograph of it from a while ago, because I can't take a picture of it at the moment. It's in my front room and my wife's working. So here we go. I've got all my stuff and it's dried off quite nicely, so I'm going to begin building my model kit. So where should we go from here? So this is just all the instructions, all the different things that you need, like a drill and a little file and all this, that and the other. So I've already got all of that somewhere, so I'm just going to go to here. And so the first thing we really want to do is to start with number one, of course, and we obviously need the two main parts of the plane and also some glass parts to do the windows on the inside, and also look like we're going to need a drill for something, so we'll figure that out in a minute, and a crafting knife. And yeah, all in all, that's where we start. So I'm gonna head on and get on with it. First of all, we might as well put all the rest of these parts away just for now, just so that we can concentrate on these two particular bits to start with. All right, magic. Okay, so what we really need is to open this packet here and just get the glass bits out. There you go. So as we can see, all the little windows there that are going to be placed inside. So I'm just going to pop that down there like that. And we're going to get some tools to use. So let's just get a little bit of light on the subject, just a tiny bit. So, I mean, I've got a nice little kit here that probably came off of Temu. So you can get these really cheap. Absolutely great. Mind you, don't cut yourself though. Well dangerous, but you can do one of those. I also had another one somewhere, but I've got plenty of these anyway, as you can see. I think I'll have that one. And we'll pop that back in. And a nice little pair of clippers. And this is what you do. You steal from your wife, if you have one, of course. If not, find a sister or somebody like that who's got a nail file. Very, very handy. Okay, so what we need to do now is just carefully cut. We'll normally go that way, as close as you can, and just clip off the spurs, and off we go. So I shall be doing that. Voila, and there is your first piece cut off, and obviously you've got these here, so what you can do is you can just trim as much as you can off them, you know, just go along carefully trying to trim off all the little bits. And then what you can't trim without cutting the rest of the plastic, of course, is to then rub it down with a nail file. Simple as that. So that's what I'm going to do, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Before I do go ahead, by the way, I just thought I'd show this. I mean, this came, I think my wife bought me this, but you can get these anywhere on Amazon or anywhere else. So if your eyes are not great, a bit like mine, your glasses can be handy, but you really want to zoom in on what you're doing, you know, to really make a good job of what you're doing, then one of these are going to come in well handy. So like a pair of glasses, we've got a battery inside them. And then you've got this little bit here that shows all the different magnifications. You can take a pick of which one you like the best of. And then you just pop it in. There we go. Pop that in there like that. And then give it a wipe with your shirt or anything else you might have, because you've got to stop fingerprints all over the lens. Yeah, and then what you've got is a pair of, and I've also got a little light on the front, so you can see what you're doing. Absolutely fantastic. You can even keep your glasses on underneath and really see what you're doing, especially when it comes to very small pieces. These things come in well handy, believe me. Or of course you can have one of the magnified lamps that I've got one of actually, but I find these better. Anyway, let's just thought I'd bung that in. So I'm just cutting off as best I can these little bits that are left from the spurs. There's another one. That's it. Okay. So yeah, make sure you're not knocking off anything you shouldn't do. But so far so good. You can see where they've all come off. And there you go. So yeah, that's the job, to do this first. Getting off what needs to come off, where you take off the spurs, and then as soon as you've done that, you can then tidy it up afterwards with your file. So once you've cleaned it up the best you can, obviously you just want to make sure they just fit together. So basically just mess around. I'm just going to take these off now and put my normal glasses on. Yeah, just make sure that everything fits how it should, and that when you push together there's no gaps and everything slots in place. So it can take some time and it can be fiddly, but it'll all be worth it in the end, so that we know when we put it all together it'll sit in straight. At the moment I can, there we go, there you go. So it's all snapping together, all in the bottom too, so we know that that's all going to go together without any gaps. And there's the other one just gone in. So yeah, so when we glue it we won't have such of a hard time. So yeah, that looks pretty good. You see, you know, once it's all put together and it's stuck, it should be cool. And what we can do is we're going to need to hold that together when it does. So what was handy is some of this stuff, which is modelling masking tape. Absolutely brilliant. We'll just wrap some of that round and it just comes off again very, very easily, without, you know, taking any plastic off or anything like that. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. But first of all, obviously we're going to have to now take all these glass bits off for the windows. So yeah, that's the next job. Now that I've tried the two pieces together, I'm just going to put in some of these glass things, because that's what we've got to do first. Glass windows, they give you some at each end to cut off, so that if you make a mistake, but all in all I've figured out which way around they go, and if they drop in nice and neatly, what I actually need to do is use some of this. Now this is called Tacky Glue Deluxe. It dries clear within about 30 to 60 minutes, but it's quicker than that if you don't use much of it. I don't really need much in a very small model like this, so what I'm going to do is just use either a toothpick or something like that and just dip into the stuff and put it lightly along the outsides where the windows are not going to go, you know, just along the top and the bottom as much as I can anyway, and with the tip of a toothpick, and then that doesn't make so much of a mess. And then we're just going to pop those in, and because it dries off clear, if any does get around anywhere, it's not going to absolutely ruin the effect of the glass. That's going to work much better for bigger pieces of glass like this, of course, but you know, if you've ever made model kits and then you go and use glue like this to put glass in, then it just makes an absolute mess of it and it looks awful. Certainly if you're doing like model cars or something like that and you mess up the screens and that, you know, it really does look horrible. So yep, this is the stuff to buy. You want anything that just dries off clear if you get anything on the glass. So magic, I'm going to get on with it. So here's my first mistake, of course, is I'm going to stick these parts together like an idiot, and what I haven't done, as predicted I probably would do, is think about painting the damn thing first, of course, before I put all the bits of glass in. So never mind, that doesn't matter, at least I've remembered that before I actually did it. So that's good. So I'm going to put all these bits of glass aside, and what we're going to do is we're going to spray these parts with their undercoat and then their colour, and then I can start joining the thing together. So that's where I need to go from here, so that's what I'm going to do. So painting seems to be where I need to go next. Okay, so here goes. Let's see what we can do. Okay, so I'm just going to run some along where I know I'm going to put the first piece. So let's let's do that and see how we go from there. Of course, with getting loads and loads of glue over your hands and everything, but there you go. That's just the way it goes. You just don't want to get loads of glue all over the paintwork we've just done. That's the main objective, so I'm going to do my very best not to do that. Will probably be enough what I've done there. So let me just pop that back on for a few seconds. Got a bit of tissue here to wipe the cocktail stick with. And here we go. So I've got to find my first piece I wanted, which was this piece here, I think, or was it the other one? Wait a minute. Ah, there it is. I think that will be. Let's see where they go. No, that's not right. And this is where I completely cock up. Nothing is ever easy. I think I can see. That's it, that's it. Now it's sitting in there perfectly. Okay, so that's the first one. Don't forget, it doesn't matter if there's a little bit of smear or anything like that, because at the end of the day, that's going to dry off clear. Just going to move that over and pop this next one in, because obviously that's where that one went. It's actually got glue on it now, so it might actually, well, I might put a little bit more in there, but let's go for it. See a little bit of black overspray here, where when I originally thought I had, these are the mistakes I said I'd leave in. Actually, I really wanted this over here, so again, yapping away, it's making me make mistakes. Never mind, it doesn't matter. Glue's got to go all the way over here somewhere along the line. Let's just go for it. Yeah, there's a little bit of black inside this one because I made a mistake and the lid looked like it had primer, but it wasn't. It was black. Not that it makes it that obvious, so I had to go out and get some primer. Right, okay, let's find the other piece here that I need. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's here, isn't it, you idiot? Right, okay, so where's those three? Look, because I can see the three little windows that string apart, and there they are. And I do believe that's where they, is it where they go? Probably not. This is so awkward. I can now see it's not the easiest thing to do, this, but then again, these things never are. I still can't figure out. Okay, let's go around this way and see if it'll fit better. I can see the windows that have to go, but not quite sure why they're not going. That's the way, that's the way. The wrong way round again. Okay, well, we've got them in anyway, so that's great. Okay, obviously what I've got to do next is I've got to fit these in, and for some reason they've given us a nice long one to fit in here, but you'll have to cut some off, and another one to put in this end that you'll have to cut some off, which really doesn't make a lot of sense, but there you go. That is what they've done. They didn't give you them the right size, so that's very strange, but maybe that's because it's to cover you if you make a cock up in one way or the other, but why? Hey, anyway, let's carry on and do this, and I'll come back when I'm moving on to the next bit. Okay, so that's those two done now with the glass in, and if I just turn around you can see them all sitting in there. I've got to say, it wasn't easy. When you do these, excuse me, when you do these model kits, they're never easy, and sometimes I just can't understand half the things they're asking you to do in these damn instructions. They're never all that clear. This is a Revell kit, but anyway, I managed to figure it out. You could, if you looked hard enough, see the marks where you were supposed to cut them. Why you have to cut pieces off is totally and utterly beyond me, but I've kept them all in there anyway. I don't think they need to be used anywhere else, so that really doesn't make any sense. But there you go, what does make sense with these models sometimes, but I still like doing them. They're fun nonetheless, and I just do the best I can. So they're the windows in. You can't even tell they're in there at the moment. Once they're dry, I just need a little bit of cleaning up of, you know, by just rubbing off the access glue that popped through the windows just a little bit. They're very, very tiny, and to be honest, you can't even tell they're there. However, what I wanted to do was, and I've just got to find that first, so this might be the most totally craziest thing I've ever thought about doing, but I'm just going to zoom out a minute. But I have, this came out of an old RC, I think. But anyway, what I want to do really is to try and sit that in the bottom of this kit if I can. The wire will probably have to come out the back, but that's okay. I'm hoping that it'll just about fit into there somehow, maybe, because it's a strip of lights, and when I turn them on, as you can see, you get this effect, and that would be rather cool. Maybe planes don't really, well, they have flashing lights. I'm not sure they have it like this, but who cares? I want flashing lights in mine, and I'm going to have a damn good go at trying to get them in there. They may not work, and it might go all pear-shaped, but at least it's worth a try, and it looks like it'll just about fit in there. And I just want to make some holes in the bottom once it's glued in, so that the lights shine through the bottom. Now, because of that, I might, let's have a look, it's going to do that maybe if I don't glue them in properly, so I might have to use insulation tape inside, because they will be pointing downwards hopefully, so they'll be flashing sort of underneath kind of effect through the drilled holes that I'm going to drill. This might be the most stupidest idea in the world, but I'm going to have a damn go at it anyway. If I ruin it, I ruin it. And I'll have to buy another kit. We shall see. We shall totally and utterly see. Get off. Right, okay. But anyway, that's what I was planning to do. Whether it's going to work or not, I don't know. But let's try, eh? Okay, so after thinking about it, I think it will work. But I've had to cut a piece off because I know that this little nick here and here on this kit is going to be used for the front cockpit. So this should just sit in there up to about there, and the wire coming out of the back, and it should be just about right. And I should be able to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights shining through, and then of course this tail bit will be a wing on that, so I won't actually see that part of it. But it's either going to work or it's not. I've looked through this book and I can't see why it wouldn't, but I will study it more and make sure that I can get away with it, and then if I can, then that's definitely what I'm going to do. Okay, let's move on. So as I'm not going to have the stand on, I think it might work. If you're going to do something as crazy as what I've just come up with, then you need to kind of make sure that nothing's going to get in the way of it. So what I'm thinking now is there's nothing's going to get away in the way of him there and that side, but in the middle here where the wings go, maybe it will, because this is going to run underneath. So I'm just going to take all these off and then put them together and see how they're going to sit in there to make sure that this thing is not going to get in the way. But yeah, I'm not sure yet. I've looked at it and it actually looks like they both dip down and don't, you know, they fit around it but don't go anywhere inside it. But that's what I'm going to have to find out now, so that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so I've stuck those two bits together now. I had a little bit of trouble with this too, so it's going to need cleaning up, but then I've got to paint all this, so I'm just going to let it all dry off nice and hard, and then I'll be able to clean it up with some, I normally use some water and a little bit of I think that's 2000 wet and dry paper, which is really handy for tidying a little bit of glue off and stuff like that, you know, before you paint it. I've got some primer, so that'll help too. So those two are stuck together now, so I can find out what's going to happen under here when we join those two bits together, but I want to let it dry right off first. I've made sure that there was nothing else to be glued onto this before these two pieces were glued together, and there wasn't. Had a bit of an accident and broke a little piece there, which was rather annoying, so I'm going to have to tidy that up as I've glued it back on again, but all good. A little bit of glue, a little bit of undercoat and all the rest of it, and you'll never see what happened. But there we are. These things do. Making these models are not very easy, they really ain't. But anyway, that's now together, and so I just need that to dry nice and properly, and then I can see what happens when it sits under here, and whether I'll still be able to get away with having some flashy lights in it. So we'll find out. Okay, so I realized that it was gonna have to be bent slightly and then back down again for it to fit the whole length, and that didn't work, so I thought I'll try and bend it, and it just broke. And the best part of it is, though, is the last three lights still work. So I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll have the flashing lights just at the back there, like that. I'm not going to give up now. I'm at least going to have 3 lights going, and 3's my lucky number, so there you go. Unfortunately, those ones are no good anymore. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So there'll be some lights in it anyway. And then I'll have to figure out a way of sorting out these lights when I hang it, because it's only going to be hanging from the ceiling. It doesn't matter if you can see the lights, wires anyway. It's only a model. Anyway, that's what I'm going to try and do. I'm still going to try and do it. So hey ho, let's move on and see how far I get from here to figuring out how I'm going to get these to sit in there nice and neatly and strongly, and then I can move on with making the kit. Okay, so this is it. Truth or not, just need to leave that to dry and stick nice and tight, and then I'll just stick the other end, and then it should be sitting in its place. And I haven't had to do much to the bottom part so that the light shine through, so hopefully once the other side's on and that's got the little grooves into, the light should shine through and not make too much trouble through on the inside. So yeah, it might just work. I can only find out after it's all stuck together and we're ready to go. In the meantime, I'm just gonna leave it to dry and come back to it another time. So magic. So I've stuck it all together. We've now got the cockpit in and we have the lights in, and it doesn't look too bad at all. And if I can hold the camera while joining them together, as you can see, we now have some great lights working underneath. It'll be a little bit brighter than that actually, because I've only got using a 3-volt battery here, but how cool is that? That's good. That's just what I was looking for. So we've got another little green one going down there, but you can't see it at the moment because it's sitting on it at the moment. But yeah, it's worked really well. So I'm going to let that all dry now, and then once that's all dry I can move on to the next section. But for a fiddly little kit, I'm not doing too bad, so I'm happy with that. You know, could be worse. Excellent. Okay, so I've been a little bit rusty doing this model, to be fair. I could have spent a little bit more time letting things dry. I think it's been a while since I've made plastic models and realised how fiddly and a pain they really are. So when I actually stuck all the bits together, I put some of this modelling tape round, and I thought I'd left it a day, but I don't think I did. The paint, and it was still a little bit too wet, and I'd probably been a little bit too heavy with the paint as well. So when I pulled this off, it pulled some of the paint off, and I had to try and do it up the best I could. Anyway, it kind of looks okay. And to be honest, I have now bought the British Airways aeroplane off of eBay so that I can build that. But I'm still going to use this, and I'm still going to have it. I wanted it to see if I could get these lights in, and I've got that. So I'm going to carry on with it, because I think once it's been finished and all its decals are put on, it'll look fine, and I'll have it hanging up there somewhere. All these walls must be finished in here as well. I'm just so bad at getting things finished. I just haven't had the time, but I will have a lot more time next year with a bit of luck. But anyway, as you can see, all the models are all sitting here sort of done and half, you know, the road's half done, the car park's half done, everything's half done really. But never mind, it's all good. It will get done eventually. I certainly will make sure of that. I have been working on my, obviously on my campsite over there, but and I'm doing this video along with doing that actually at the moment. So I'm doing two projects at once here, which is a bit bad really, but there we are. I'm going to make both these videos separate, one for the campsite and one for this plane. But anyway, you know, so far not too bad. It kind of looks okay. I've got the front in now, painted all the interior, but you'd never notice because you don't really see it. So so far so good. There isn't no light bleed as such, so that's not too bad. So I'm going to carry on now and slowly do the rest without trying to make such a mess of it. So I've just primed those two or 3 or 4 parts that have got to go at the back. And I'm going to leave them overnight, and then I'm going to give them a gloss as well. But before I stick, I'm going to leave them at least another goddamn day, and just do 2 things at once. Instead of speeding up all the time and not letting things dry, I'll get on with my campsite over there, which I've got as far as doing the fire, which looks pretty good when it's working, but everything needs to put in place, and I have got an awful lot of tents to paint and everything. So yeah, there's all sorts of things to do with that. I also want to put some grass on there, some static grass, to make it look much more realistic around the outsides and all that kind of thing. So lots and lots planned. Whether I'll get the time to do it all, I don't know, but I'm going to video all of this to put on my YouTube channel, because I haven't put anything on there for years. So you'll hear me saying this right now, but that's exactly what I'm doing all this for. So I've got a little bit of time on my hands through the summer, although I am off out and about again. So it's still going to take me a fair while to do all these things. But anyway, that's as far as I've got with this so far. So moving on, I'm just going to carry on until I finish it. So brilliant. So we're really getting there with this first plane now. I mean, it wasn't the greatest paint job on this, unfortunately, but I have bought myself some plastic putty filler for filling in gaps and things and that. So I'm going to tidy the old girl up a little bit once I'm done. Once all this is stuck, and I'll leave that for a good while, because these little bits on the end, they were so delicate. I'm trying to get out here. I'll put some putty in there, and I'll smooth all that out and paint them again when I'm done. But they really are a pain at the moment. You just have to catch them a little bit and they come off again. Put a little bit of filler here on one of the engines because there was a little bit of a gap where it didn't fit very well. A few little bits to nick off with a knife. Just general tidying up really. And then once that's done, I can then go to the fun part, sorry, I'm going to get my words out in a minute, of painting. Well, not kind of painting, more decaling, a little bit of painting at the back, and so on and so forth, to really make it start to look more like a plane with plenty of decals to stick on anyway. So that should be good fun. So, well, I say good fun, sometimes they can be hard to do as well, but you know, still all good fun nevertheless. And then when it's done, I can figure out how I'm gonna kind of hang it from the from the ceiling. So at the moment it's not looking too bad, you know. So yeah, I think let's just put that down there again. I want to let that dry completely. That's where I want it. Right, okay. Oh yes, so yeah, okay, so I'm going to leave it there drying now. I've discovered that using little plastic gloves that I've found in my house are rather handy for handling this sort of thing. And on my next build, which will be my Airbus, I'll be taking a lot more care. But this one was a good starter to bring me back into all the do's and don'ts of making a plastic kit, because they ain't easy. I think actually if you paint them first is a bit of a pain, but I had to with this one because I put the glass in the windows. If I hadn't have bothered with those glass, I could have actually just put all the bodywork together and sprayed it all white and then did all the perhaps detailed stuff later. However, there is some details on the engines that you would have to paint first before you put them all together. So, you know, it's a kind of thinking game when you make these things, but never mind. It's all good fun, and yeah, I'm going to get that sorted, get all the decals on, do a little bit of painting, and then it'll be ready to hang somewhere over top of my railway. Yeah, great stuff. Okay. So today I'm doing a little bit of painting, but that needs a second coat. And I'm also doing some decaling, which is dangerously good fun still, nonetheless. And I'm also doing a little bit more dangerously drinking at the same time, which probably won't go down too well, but we'll see. But all in all, things are going quite well on the old plane build. Magic. Okay, so this is where I am at the moment. There's my model that I've been doing. It's sitting over there and it's drying. I don't want to touch it because I'm terrible at touching things before they dry and make a right mess of it. So it's sitting over there and it's looking okay. Not bad at all. Not my best work, but it's okay, and it's going to do good for my model railway. However, I did buy this rather vintage one as well of the British Airways aeroplane, and I'm now working on this one now, and I'm spending a bit more time on this one, making sure it's all closed up, using stuff like plastic putty to fill the gaps and doing it all properly. So this one's probably going to look a lot better, but I'm going to use them both. That one obviously has got the lights that I put in. So at the moment everything's good. This is where I'm going to finish for a little while, for a week, as I'm off on a little bit of a jaunt in the camper van. We're going to a festival up at Croppety, if you've ever heard of that, but somewhere in the Cotswolds, to watch certain folk bands and things like that. My wife likes folk music, so we're off to do that. Fairport Convention, blimey, that's going back a few years, but they run that. So that's what I'm off to do now. So I won't be able to do any more to any of this until I get back. But anyway, that's all been great fun, and I can't wait to get my total butt into gear and get more into, for one, sorting out the lights again on my model railway, because they've all got totally and utterly ruined, and I really need to start from scratch again on that one. There's lights in a lot of them, I mean, but there was another building that I've built here that's got wired up that needs setting up. This is a lovely little building that we stayed in, a little cottage very similar to that I did a video on just recently. And over there at the back there's a couple more buildings that I've built just recently, and they're all got wired up with lights. There's a pub and a kind of hotel thing, I think it is, at the back there. So yeah, I've been doing, and a couple of little other houses that I built a while ago, Tudor houses, and a couple of I kind of went back in time and bought some of them and made a video of that as well, of the old I forget which ones they're called now, but still they're the two that I did recently, and these are the ones that I've had for many years that all look a little bit rough now and need a little bit of care and attention, but I might still use them again. For some reason I decided to build the anti-Revell house. A little bit scary. I don't know why I did that, but I just did anyway, from off the internet. Yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing. I've been doing nothing but models, and I'm really enjoying myself. So at the moment I think I'm going to wrap this video up. I will do another video and show you the full results of the plane up in its place where it's going to sit. But until then, I am going to finish with this and hope to hear and see you all again very soon. Thank you very much and take care. Goodbye.
I got a load.